Hi friends, it's Carrie from the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine, and I'm here today to read you another chapter of Bob by Wendy and Rebecca Stead, and illustrations by Nicholas Gannon. And this is a Fywell and Friends book, and we are up to chapter 6, my friends. Chapter 6, Bob. If I think back really hard, I can still see the 5-year-old Libby curled up in the straw, her long hair and orange pajamas matted with leaves, and a tiny frog stuck inside her hood. "A frog?" she says when I tell her. I nod, remembering the bright greenness of the frog. It hopped out and landed on your nose, and when I shook you, you woke up and then you laughed when you saw it. I don't add that when she saw me, she stopped laughing. Why was I sleeping if I was soaking wet in a chicken coop? Was it raining? I shake my head. It was sunny. I remember the early morning light through the slats in the roof and the dust hanging in the air, and you took a long time to wake up. But I thought I was the one who saved you. I shake my head again. That came later. She sighs. The old Livy never sighed. This one sighs a lot. A car door shuts. Livy jumps up and peers through the window. "Mom's back. Stay in here until we're out of the way, and then you can run back to the house, okay?" She still doesn't trust the chicken suit. She ducks through the door before I can say that I don't want her to go. Now I'm all alone with the real chickens, who look at me suspiciously. I cross my arms and sit in the corner, the same corner where she was all wet. A minute later, I can hear Livy laughing. I risk peeking out the window. Gran has joined her and her mom and the baby. They're feeding cucumbers and carrots to the pigs. Gran shows Livy how to hold the vegetables so the pigs don't nibble her fingers. "Your dad will love this," her mom says, snapping pictures. "Our little farm girl." I slump back down. I want to be a little farm girl. Well, a farm not zombie. I haven't been outside in 5 years. I should get to feed the pigs and run in the grass and stare up at the wide blue sky that I'd almost forgotten existed. I should get to climb a tree if I feel like it. Why does Livy get to make all the decisions? I don't like the way that one chicken over there keeps glancing at me. I think she is up to no good. She looks like the kind of chicken who could peck your eye out and not even feel bad about it. I scurry out into the sun. Now everyone is laughing at how the pigs' tails are like little curly question marks and how they would go boing if you unwound them. I do my best chicken walk toward them, but then stop before I get too close. Livy will be so upset if she sees me. Maybe this was a bad idea. I glance around, looking for cover, and spot the well. This time, Livy can't keep me from checking it out. I change course and dart behind it. I am now officially a rule breaker. The stones that surround the well are warm from the sun. Leaning against them feels nice on my back. My feet feel funny though, like cold and hot at the same time. The funny tingling feeling starts there, but then it goes higher and higher till it reaches my head. Is this what Spider-Man sense feels like? Or was it the beans? I bet it was the beans. I turn to my left. I am not alone at the well. Danny, the old man had called him earlier, he is sitting against the low wall with his knees pulled up to his chest and a book at his side. He sees me and his eyes widen in surprise. But it's not the kind of surprise like if you just saw a not zombie, more like the kind where you just saw a big chicken. He has pink icing around his lips and he's been crying. I want to ask if he's okay, but chickens do not talk. So instead, I peck at the ground and think that life can't be all that bad if you just ate something with pink icing on it. "You are lucky to be a chicken," the boy says, angrily wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand. "Your life is so easy." "Easy peasy lemon squeezy," I want to tell him. Old Livy used to say that. I've been waiting for a chance to use it, but now is not the time. Plus, life is so not easy. He sniffles, then reaches out and strokes my fake chicken comb. I hold my breath. This suit works really well. "Some days I wish I could be a chicken," Danny says. "Things are hard when you're a person. Grandpop is going to lose his farm soon. Nothing grows anymore." He keeps petting my head. I can't talk to him to tell him that things will be okay. And how do I know they will? So I just give him a gentle nudge on the chin and hope he understands. A shadow falls over us, and I look up. Dark clouds have rolled in, hiding the sun. Danny lets his hand fall from my head and stops crying. "Clouds!" he says, his voice full of wonder. Then he stands up and shouts, "Rain clouds!" clouds. Shh! I know chickens don't shush people, but I can't help it. But it's too late. Livy and the whole family are staring right at us. Livy's eyes dart wildly between me and Danny. Look at the clouds, she shouts, stabbing her finger upward a bit too frantically. But it works. Everyone looks up, even the baby, which gives me a chance to escape. But I don't. Something holds me there. We hear thunder, and everyone cheers. Gran lifts the baby up to the sky and hops around and woohoos. She's stronger than she looks. Livy's mom throws her arms around Livy and squeezes. At this moment, I could take off the chicken suit and do a naked somersault, and not one of them would notice. From behind her mom's back, Livy waves for me to go to the house. Danny has run over to join the whooping and dancing, and I want more than anything to join in too. But I do my best chicken walk toward the back door. Giant blobs of water plunk onto my head, splash on my face, and roll toward my mouth. Rain! It's a little weird. Not bad necessarily, just different. Not sure what all the fuss is about, frankly. By the time I've made it to the door, the rain has stopped and the clouds are rolling away. That was fast. The cheering stops as if someone has thrown a switch. Everyone is quiet. Livy is frowning, and that makes me sad. I hear her mom say that the baby needs to get into some dry clothes. I'd better get upstairs before they come in. Also, I'm pretty sure there are some potato chips left in the bottom of the bag. Chapter 7, Livy. Open the door already. You've been in there for 15 minutes. It's taken me 10 minutes of talking through the closet door to convince Bob to take off his soaking wet chicken suit and change into something dry, and now he won't come out. No. Come on. I try to turn the knob, but he must be holding it on the other side. No. Come on. But Bob doesn't answer at first. Then he says, You do not say please very often, do you? He sniffs. Old Livy did not like to say please either. He's right. I don't like to say please. I don't mind the polite please, like when you want someone to pass you the mashed potatoes, but I don't like the begging kind of please. Please, I say. I am considering it. Pretty please. How bad can it be? The door swings open, and there is Bob, arms tightly crossed over his narrow chest. He is wearing my old tutu. He looks smaller in the tutu than he did in the chicken suit. It's not so bad. At least both of your feet are still attached, I say. It was this or a bathing suit, he says. I probably would have gone with the bathing suit. That tutu looks itchy. Maybe you could get me something else to wear. When you were in town tonight, Bob's eyes shine. In grand soap operas, someone is always going into town to shop. I'll try, but it might be hard to get my mom to buy me something in your size. He looks at me. One side of the tutu sticks up in a funny way, like it's been pressed up against the closet wall for the last 5 years. That, plus Bob's dead serious look, makes me want to hug him, but I don't. Suddenly, Bob smiles. Do you have time for chess? You play chess? He nods. Your dad taught me, and you taught me. Your dad taught you, and you taught me. A little wiggle at the back of my head tells me he's right. I'll set up the board, Bob says, running to his closet. I've been practicing by myself. I mean, technically, it's always been me against Mr. Monkey, but I make all of the moves for him. Who usually wins? He scratches his head. That's the other thing. We only have the white pieces, so we share them, and I always forget whose pieces are whose. I wish I could find the black ones. Black chess pieces, I say? I know where they are. You do? Bob does a little jump, which is really cute because of the tutu. Don't just stand there. Get them. When I get to the kitchen, Gran is standing by the window reading a letter and frowning. You've been up in your room a lot, she says, switching to a smile. Everything all right? We're still making the cake tomorrow, right? Yes, everything is great. Do you know where those chess pieces are? The black ones you showed me yesterday? Of course. She drops the letter on the kitchen table next to the ripped open white envelope, and I realize Gran is reading the letter that the neighbor was twisting in his hands this morning. He looked miserable when he was holding it, and now that Gran has it, she looks kind of miserable, even though she's still smiling at me. When Gran turns away, I tilt my head and read the words on the top of the page. Bank of Australia. Gran holds the net bag of chess pieces out to me. Do you remember trying to take these home the last time you came? You had them all packed away in your backpack. Cutest thing. I did. She nods. Your mom found them at the last minute, and they've been sitting in my kitchen drawer ever since. I'd challenge you to a game, but I can't find the white ones. Upstairs, Bob is sitting cross-legged on the floor of the room with the chessboard in front of him. All the white pieces are resting on their squares, the important pieces in the back row, and the pawns lined up in front of them. I start setting up my side of the board. Bob smiles at me and says, Just like old times. You always had to be black. It's lucky, I tell him. But chess is not about luck, Bob says. It's about recognizing the strength of the little guy. What are you talking about? He picks up a pawn and waves it at me. Everyone underestimates the little guy, but the pawn is the key to the game. I laugh. Where are you getting this stuff? His face grows serious. The pawn protects every other piece on the board, Bob says, even though it can't make as many moves. And if you get it to the other side of the board safely, it becomes a much more powerful piece, like a knight or a queen. Then he smiles, slides his first pawn down to the center of the board to E2, from E2 to E4, and says, let's see what you've learned in 5 years. I move my own pawn out to C5 and watch his eyes get big when he realizes I'm doing the Sicilian defense. I grin. Game on, my not zombie friend. He beams. You are a much better opponent than Mr. Monkey. We've barely gotten started when I hear Mom calling up the stairs that it's time to go into town. Bob looks up. Don't forget I need something to wear. I'll try, I say. Don't forget about me, he says. I won't, I tell him. Promise? Promise. He picks up a black pawn from the board and hands it to me. Put this in your pocket, he says. Why? I don't know why, but it's important. It is what you always did before. Bob, I was 5 before. I probably did things for no reason at all. Please, Bob says, just do it. Fine. I lean over and swipe a different black pawn from the board. No, Bob says, it has to be this one, the one with the chip on the bottom. He actually looks kind of worried, so I take the special pawn from him and stick it in my front jeans pocket, and then I give him a quick hug. Bob is a good hugger. His arms go around my middle, and he looks up at me with these eyes that remind me of Joni, our neighbor's German shepherd back home. Sometimes when I'm sitting on my porch, Joni comes over to me and puts her chin on my knee and looks at me just like Bob is doing now. Mom calls her Lonely Joan. But I don't think Joan is lonely. I think she just has a way of knowing when a person needs cheering up. I pat the pocket with the chess pawn in it. I'll be back soon, Bob, as soon as I can. Then I'll finish beating you at chess. I thought town would be a big place like ours at home with coffee shops, stores, restaurants, and maybe a movie theater. But Grandstown turns out to be one street with a stretch of stores on one side of the road and nothing but dirt and dead grass on the other. We start at one end and go slowly, stopping at each and every shop where Gran can introduce us to whoever is behind the cash register. Beth Ann did her 4 o'clock crying in the car, so she's smiling now, and even willing to be passed over the counter and held by whoever is there. Do we have to go to every single place? I whispered to Mom in the wool shop. Yarn is boring. Yes, we do, she said. Gran is showing us around to her people. Showing the baby around, more like it. I cheer up a little when the third store turns out to sell clothes, because I want to go to a clothing store. I know I did, even though I can't remember exactly why. Can I get something? Asked Mom. Maybe, she says. Show me what you want. But I can't remember what I want. I look around at all the stuff. It's nothing fancy, just different kinds of t-shirts and a few handmade things in baskets. And I can't even remember why I wanted to come here in the first place. It's like I'm reaching for something in my brain that isn't there anymore. And then Mom says the baby needs a diaper change right now, and we're leaving the store before I can figure it out. I wait for Gran while Mom changes the baby in the back of the car. Gran keeps looking across the road at the field of brown grass. It's cut very short. Back home, I love walking on cut grass with my bare feet, but this grass looks like it would hurt to walk on. When Mom gets back with Beth Ann, we start moving faster because it turns out that a few of the stores have shut down. Gran stops in front of each one and tells Mom when it went out of business. The bookstore closed last summer. Miss Penn, who used to run it, is living on next to nothing now. She always knew what book I would want to read. The antique shop closed just a few weeks ago. Who has money for knickknacks these days? I perk up when we walk into what Gran calls the lolly shop. There's candy in big jugs all over the place. Thank goodness people can always find change for something sweet. The lady behind the counter hugs Mom, holds her arms out for the baby, and calls to me that I can pick any 3 things I want. I walk slowly from bin to bin, taking a square caramel in a clear wrapper because caramels are my favorite, then a sour cherry ball because they last a long time, and I'm still thinking about the 3rd thing I should pick when the lady calls out, "Oh, I moved the licorice. It's in the corner now," and she points. I hate licorice. Why is she telling me where the licorice is? I kind of smile at her and keep walking. Chocolate, gummy frog. Don't be shy, she calls. I know it's your favorite. Mom is smiling at me in a funny way because she knows I hate licorice. We both know that the lady behind the counter must be mixing me up with someone else's granddaughter who probably visited a long time ago. But now that Mom is looking, I'll have to do the polite thing and take one, which means no chocolate and no gummy frog. No charge for those, the lady says happily when I have all 3 pieces in my hand, the caramel, the sour cherry ball, and the dreaded licorice. But Grand Nichols insists on paying for the candy. Put those in your pocket for later, Mom tells me the second we step outside. No candy until after dinner. We finally get to the town's one restaurant at the end of the street. It's really just a square room full of tables, each one covered with white paper tablecloth that hangs down on the sides. There's a little jar of loose crayons on each table. Mom gives a loud whoop and hugs the waitress hello from a long time. And then a girl about my age comes through a swinging door with a basket of bread, which she puts down on our table. I don't suppose you two remember each other, Gran says, smiling at the girl and then at me. We both get shy. The waitress says to me, I've still got your drawing up, you know. My drawing? Mom says, oh, how wonderful. Let's see. She rubs my back as we all walk toward one of the walls, which is now covered with crayon drawings on paper tablecloths. I hang only the best, the waitress says. But now I'm wondering if maybe she's not the waitress. Maybe this is her restaurant. And maybe the girl standing next to me is her daughter. She points to a rectangle of paper that's pinned to the wall with 4 blue tacks. I glance at the other drawings on the wall. Some of them are really good. This one, not so much. Excuse me. It's baby stuff. A picture of a farm and 2 stick figure girls with curly lines for hair and bright pink and purple triangle dresses, yellow sun and green grass. The usual. Look at that delicious green grass, Gran says. The waitress looks at Gran. Dad told me that a letter came to our place by accident, she says. It was from the bank. Ah, that twisted envelope. These are Gran's neighbors. Gran says, never mind that letter. My family is here, and tonight is for celebrating and nothing else. Livy, do you want to see who drew this gorgeous work of art? She points near the bottom where it says Livy in big blue letters and Sarah in purple ones. I look at the girl again. She must be Sarah. She's not looking at the picture. She's looking at her feet. Remember the weekend you two spent together, the waitress asked me? Sarah spent the day with you at your grand's, and the next day you both came here to help out. Sarah asked about you for the longest time after you left. When's Livy coming back? When's Livy coming back? I glance at Sarah and see her face is all red. Well, hi again, I say. Hi, she whispers. Gran and Mom walk over to our table and get the baby all set in her bundle chair, which is her favorite place to sit, drool, and play with her fingers. It feels better with Sarah as soon as the adults stop staring at us. It's weird we drew this, I said. I don't remember doing it. Me neither, she says, even though I see it every day. It's kind of cute. I look at the drawing again. It is cute, actually, colorful, with horses and pigs in the yard and a chicken house. You must have drawn the horses, I tell Sarah, because I still can't draw a horse. She laughs. Maybe I did. I have no idea. And what the heck are those supposed to be? She points to a clump of circles with stick feet. I think they're chickens, I say. See the little red things on their heads? And as I look more closely, I see that one chicken, unlike the other, has a carefully colored green face. Weird. I point to the drawing above ours, a black dog with a white chest done in pencil. That one is really good, I say. She nods. My little brother drew that. He's only 7, but he's definitely the official artist of the family. Danny, that little kid drew this? Wow. Yeah, she says. Hey, do you like licorice? I ask Sarah. I reach into my pocket and take out my loot. Sarah laughs. You carry chess pieces around? I look at the pawn in my hand, and it's like a door swings open in my mind. Bob! Bob is that green chicken in our drawing. Bob is who I meant to buy clothes for. I promised him, and then I forgot him again. I turn to Sarah. We were obviously friends when I was here last time. Maybe I told her something. It would be kind of great to have a partner, because I can't leave Bob alone here again, and I don't actually have any idea how to get him home. Do you know? Bob, I say. Who? Bob. I wave one finger at the paper in the general direction of the green-faced chicken. Was Bob a horse? She frowns. I hate to tell you this, but he might be gone now. Some people had to ship their horses off because of the drought. Oh, I'm really sorry, she says. And then our mom calls us at a table to decide what we want for dinner. Can I run to the back of the store with the clothes? I asked Mom. I just remembered what I wanted. I'll be right back. What? No, we're eating now, Livy. Please, I'm cold. Sarah can lend you a jumper, Sarah's mom says. She keeps an extra one in back. Jumper is Australian for sweatshirt, and it's hot in the restaurant, so I'm pretty miserable getting into Sarah's red hoodie, wondering how I could have forgotten Bob again. I stick the pawn in one pocket, along with the candy Sarah and I didn't have a chance to sneak. Sarah takes the chair next to mine. She isn't shy anymore. In fact, she talks a lot. We're the only customers in the restaurant, except for one older couple at the table in the front window. I guess that means business isn't so good. Our moms start telling stories about the crazy stuff boys in their class used to do, and Sarah and I keep laughing. It cools off as it gets later, so I'm happy for the sweatshirt. Our moms take about 100 pictures of us. After dinner, Sarah and her mom walk us back up to the road to our car, and Mom asks if I still want to get something at the store. A t-shirt or something? It's not too late if you want to look. I shrug and look into the store windows as we pass by. Did I want a t-shirt? Why did I want a t-shirt? Mom says the candy was for after dinner, and this is after dinner. I reach into my pocket and come out with the caramel, the sour cherry ball, the licorice, and the chess piece, a black pawn. The name comes back to me in a flash. Bob! And I realize that I'd forgotten all about him. Again. Hey, Sarah says, you never told me about the chess piece. Is it your lucky charm or something? I stare at the pawn and I finally get it. Something is wrong. And we are on chapter 8. Bob. I learned a lot of things today on my adventure with Livy, but here's what I learned after she left. If you put a wet chicken suit in the clothes dryer, all the feathers will come off and the whole thing will shrink into a little ball. The car pulls up outside just as I've rescued the last feather from the lint trap. The choo-choo scratches at my legs as I climb the stairs with the whole mess in my arms. If I were Superman, I could have just used my heat lasers to dry it off, and it would be as good as new. I wait in the closet. Waiting in the closet is not so bad when you know someone will soon be opening it. Plus, being in there is kind of relaxing. Like I don't have to worry about anything other than what's inside my head. I like filling my head. I flip the dictionary open to you. Now that I know there is a light cord, there'll be no stopping me. I get up to unicorn before Livy swings open the door so wide the doorknob bangs into the opposite wall. That's gonna leave a mark, I say, shutting the book. Can we cross unicorn off the list of things that I might be? I could have told you that, she says. I hurry over to the bed and open the bag of clothes that is no doubt waiting for me there. There is no bag. I purse my lips at her and wait for an explanation. So, you'll never guess what happened to me in town, Livy says. This better be good. I forgot about you. Only she sort of looks kind of excited about that, which is more than a little annoying. I forgot, she repeats. Again. I start to gnash my teeth, but my teeth are already small and kind of stubby. I put my hands on my hips instead. Why are you happy about forgetting again? She shakes her head. I'm not happy about the forgetting part, but now I think I understand why I forgot you the first time. I mean, I know I was really young, but let's face it, you're pretty memorable. I have to agree there. I always thought I was pretty memorable as far as mysterious creatures go. She begins to pace the room. When we left for dinner, I was thinking about you, and the chicken house, and the clothes you wanted, and by the time I got into town, I forgot it all. My eyes widen. I am less annoyed now and more curious. All of it? She nods. I reach up and lay the back of my hand on Livy's forehead. Maybe you have a fever. She shakes her head. No, listen, it's not me. I think it's coming from you. You have a gift. I think you're magic. I stare at her. Oh, great. So my magic is about people and not being able to remember me. Well, what kind of stinky magic gift is that? It's not so bad, she insists. It protects you from strangers, right? I guess, but it makes you forget me too. It would, yes. But I have something that reminds me. She dives into her pocket and pulls her hand out triumphantly to reveal the chess piece. I'm trying to keep up. The chipped black pawn from the H7 square makes you remember me. Yep, I must have figured this out when I was little. Gran said I tried to take it home last time. When I hold it, I remember you. She lowers the pawn back on the board so it can continue its job of protecting the king. It wobbles as she sets it down. We both reach out to steady it, and our hands close on it at the same time. Our eyes meet in surprise. We'd clutched the same pawn between us before. Back then, we'd laughed and rolled around on the floor, pretending to fight over it. But now we just stare at each other. This action, this coming together, it linked us somehow. Livy is right about the magic. For some reason, people forget about me when they get a certain distance away, but this pawn resists it. This means Livy didn't really forget about me when she left 5 years ago. Well, she did, but not on purpose, because she didn't have the pawn. Knowing this makes a huge difference. We finally let go. See, I tell her, I was right about the pawns being powerful. Don't go getting a big head about it. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a wrapped up caramel and a piece of black licorice. I grab for the licorice, my favorite candy. The lady at the store said I used to get it all the time. I nod, chewing happily. You did. You'd bring it back every time you went to town. You tried it once and said it tasted like dirt. That sounds like me, Livy says, popping the caramel into her mouth. Where did you find the black chess piece anyway? I said as I savor my delicious treat. They were downstairs with a bunch of other stuff Gran put out to show me. Her voice is a bit slurpy because of the caramel. There was a green elephant too and a... Rufus? I jump up. Gran found Rufus? Huh? I'm not sure. I didn't ask his name. Green and soft, about the size of my head, long trunk. I start at my nose and swing my arm out like a trunk. Sounds like the one, she says. I'm halfway out the door before she yanks me back. Hold on there, mister, she says. Oops, sorry. Will you get him for me? Now? Yes, please. I wait by the door, hopping up and down. Rufus is back. I should probably act my age and not get excited about a stuffed animal. Then she walks in with him. Rufus! I snatch him from her arms and hug him tight and sniff his head. He smells just the same, like cake and the outdoors. Livy half smiles and half rolls her eyes. I'm glad you have your stuffed animal back. I hold him out to her. Oh, no. He's not mine. Rufus is yours. Mine? I don't think so. I've never been an elephant person. What a hurtful thing to say. I hug him again. But when you were soaking wet in the chicken house, you had him in your arms. She takes a step backward in surprise. I did? And he was wet too. Rufus was wet? Libby steps over to the window and looks out into the yard. Her back is to me for a long time. When she turns around again, her eyes are wide. There was only one place in Gran's yard Rufus could have gotten wet. I think he fell in the well. Chapter 9, Livy. Poor Rufus, Bob is saying, smoothing Rufus's short green elephant fur. Did you fall in that deep, dark well? Bob will keep you safe now. You will never be in that deep, dark well again. I think sometimes Bob forgets that some of us are real-life creatures and some of us are inanimate objects. It must have been because all that time he spent in the closet with the Lego pirate, Mr. Monkey, and the pair who got lost. While Bob and Rufus are having their little reunion, I'm putting 2 and 2 together, as Dad says. Except it's more like trying to add the square root of 7 and 31 to the 5th power. Bob says I rescued him, but he also says he went to the chicken house in the first place because I was cold. Not him, me. And I was cold because I was wet, and now it turns out poor Rufus was also wet. Gran Nichols says I love Rufus. I took him everywhere with me. So I'm beginning to wonder if maybe I am the one who fell in the well. If maybe Bob saved me. Bob, I say. He ignores me. He's sitting on the edge of my bed, talking to Rufus with his leg crossed and one side of his tutu sticking up. A strap is sliding down over one skinny green shoulder. Wouldn't I remember falling in a well? Maybe I hit my head. If I hit my head, I could have drowned. But could Bob really have pulled me out? He does not look very strong. Bob, I say again. He looks up. Yes? What if I didn't save you? What if you saved me? No, he says. You saved me, Livy. We have to go outside, I tell him. Right now. Outside? It's almost bedtime. It's getting dark out. He looks at me with big eyes. I know, I say, throwing him Sarah's sweatshirt. I'm not too excited about the dark either. But this can't wait. 5 minutes later, we're at the far end of Gran's yard, where the stiff brown grass gives way to a lot of trees and rocky ground. It was easy to sneak out of the house because Gran was on the phone and Mom was putting the baby to sleep. We just walked out the front door, which Gran almost never uses, and then ran around to the back of the house and over to the well. Bob runs up to it but doesn't touch it. He peers over the top. He has to stand on his tiptoes. And then he walks around the well slowly, looking as serious as a green guy can look in a tutu and a red sweatshirt so big on him that the zipper is swinging down by his ankles. What are you looking for, he says. Clues? Bob, do you remember being here with me? With Rufus? He shakes his head and points to the chicken house. I only remember the chickens. But I do remember the well, not just from yesterday's walk with Mom when she talked a lot about collecting stones with her father to make the well wall, but from before, from when I was 5, For instance, I know that if I walk around this well, I will see 3 little stones jutting out of the wall, one above the other. Like 3 little steps that I might have tried to climb once. I circle the well slowly, and there they are. I raise one knee and try to put my foot on the lowest little stone step. There's only room for my toes. Bob, you don't remember this place at all? He shakes his head again, and I'm out of memories. I definitely don't remember falling in. I force myself to look in the well's deep dark and shudder. Let's go back to the chicken house, I say. It's the nearest thing to the well. That's where Bob thinks our story starts, even though I'm feeling more and more sure that it starts exactly where we are now. It takes less than a minute to walk to the chicken house. Bob stops just outside the fence and says he's not going in. I don't like the chicken, he says, pointing at a big one. She has it out for me. Bob, pay attention. This is where you watched me wake up, right? Yes, Livy. Inside, just like I told you. And then what, I say. And then you said you had to go to breakfast, that Gran would worry. I remember wondering what breakfast was. And you said it was usually something good, like pancakes or waffles, so I went with you. Bob is excited now, going up and down on his toes. It almost looks like a real ballerina move. Okay, show me how we got to the house. We walked, silly. I can't fly, as far as I know. Ha ha, show me exactly the way we went. Maybe we'll see something important. He looks at the chickens and thinks for a second. We walked along the edge of the grass near the trees. You called it going the long way. When Bob says the long way, I get this memory, like a picture flashing in my head of Gran's yard, all green in the cold sunshine. And for the first time, I remember Rufus. I remember holding him, how soft he was, and how I tucked him under one armpit to keep him safe while I used 2 hands to climb over a rock or a fallen down tree trunk at the edge of the grass. Now we're getting somewhere. Show me the long way, I tell Bob. We start picking our way along the edge of Gran's lawn, tripping over tree roots and stumbling on the little rocks that are loose in the dry dirt. Ouch, Bob says, bending to rub his leg. It's not that bad, I say. Not for you, maybe. You're wearing pants. I start laughing really hard because now Bob has a twig stuck to the back of his tutu. Against the dusky blue sky, it looks like he has a little tail. Bob stops and turns to me. I can't see his face, only 2 glimmering eyes. Stop! Sorry, I'm still laughing when something hits my funny bone straight on. I just can't stop. But Bob is suddenly serious. Livy, it's our rock. He points to a smooth, gray, white rock. It's like a little table, almost a perfect rectangle, lying flat on the ground and reflecting the moonlight. He hops up onto it. He's a good hopper, very springy. Remember? You said it was a Sylvester rock. We had picnics here. You mean like the book, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble? It actually does look a lot like the rock that Sylvester turned himself into. He wished to be a rock to save himself from a lion, and then he couldn't wish himself back. His parents looked for him everywhere. That part always made me really sad. Livy, this is where you saved me the first day. On this rock? Saved you from what? Bob drops his voice. From a monster. Bob, really? A monster? I was so scared I could barely move. My feet were stuck to the ground. You grabbed my hand and pulled me all the way to Gran's kitchen door. You saved me right here. What kind of monster? Oh, a toothsome and furry monster. Also fast. A fast, toothsome, furry monster. And so loud, that's screeching. He covers his ears. I pull his hands down. Bob, you are safe. There's no monster here. Just tell me what happened. Maybe we should go inside now, Bob says. Bob, maybe the monster was from your world. Maybe what you're remembering is a clue. It'll help us figure out where you came from. I start hunting around the rock for more clues, but now it's almost too dark to see. Excuse me. Bob is nodding, excited. Yes, maybe in my world, I am the people, like you are the people here. But in my world, there are monsters, and they run after us, screeching like this. And then Bob makes a noise. I look up from my clue hunt. That's the noise the monster makes? That's exactly what it sounded like. Do you remember it now? Have you heard such a horrible sound? Actually, I have. Because the sound that Bob made was this. Meow. Bob, I'm pretty sure that wasn't a monster. I think maybe it was a cat. A cat? Do you mean the small domesticated mammal? Catcher of rats and mice? I guess so. Most cats are cute and friendly, and they say meow. They do? His look of terror disappears. Well, it doesn't say anything about that in your dictionary, but still, it was very brave of you, Livy. To save me, he smiles. Then he pats the Sylvester rock. And I always like this rock. I think I get it. Bob saved me from drowning, and then I saved him back by walking away from a cat. But none of this has helped us figure out anything about where Bob came from. I'm going to have to think of something else. I sit down hard on the Sylvester rock. It wobbles a little. Livy? Yes? Can we go home now? I want to introduce Rufus to Mr. Monkey. We walk into the house the same way we left, and no one even knows we were gone. When we get upstairs, Bob lays down on the bed and insists that he needs Band-Aids for his scratched up legs. I can't see any marks on him, but he says he had heard a TV commercial once and he definitely needs one on each knee. So I go out to find some Band-Aids in the bathroom cabinet. When I come back into the room, I see Bob, still flat on the bed, with Mom standing over him. I freeze right where I am in the doorway. There you are, Mom says, turning to me. Her eyes find the Band-Aid box in my hand. What happened? Did you hurt yourself? I try not to look at Bob, who is lying very, very still and staring straight ahead, as if Mom might not notice a tutu-wearing green knot zombie the size of a 4-year-old. I can see his chest moving up and down when he breathes. In fact, I think he might be hyperventilating. This! I look at the Band-Aids as if they just showed up and surprised me. Oh, no. I mean, yes. No, I have a sore toe, that's all. Let me see, Mom says. So I take off my sneaker and point to my big toe, and she coos over it and puts a Band-Aid on it for me. When her head is down, I wave at Bob to get under the bed. But he's too busy pretending to be the world's weirdest stuffed animal that he doesn't even see me. I'm trying to figure it out. Has she seen him? Can she see him? A second later, I have my answer. Mom goes straight to the bed, flips down the blanket, and tells me to get in. She doesn't even tell me to brush my teeth or anything. She says we need a little snuggle time, and when I'm in bed, practically squished right up against Bob, she sits on the edge of the mattress and starts patting my head like she does sometimes. She can't see him. I'm leaving early, Mom says, before breakfast. You'll probably still be asleep. Okay, I tell the stomachache not to show up, but it shows up anyway. You're good staying here with Gran, right? It'll be a lot more fun than all the time in the car. Sure. Go away, I tell the stomachache. She can't wait to have some real time with you, you know. I know. You're going to make that cake together, remember? Yes. Then Mom asks if I want a story, and of course I do. Close your eyes, she says. Once upon a time, there was a remarkably brave mouse named Lee. And she tells me about a mouse princess with a baby mouse sitter who cries at exactly 4 p.m. every day, and there's a giant frog and a magic wishing well and a pie made out of flies and cheese. It's the kind of story she hasn't told me in a long time, the kind she used to tell me when I was little. My stomach doesn't feel any better, but it doesn't feel any worse either. Did you make that up? I ask when she gets to the happily ever after part. She kisses my forehead. It's my own silly version of an old fairy tale. A fairy tale about a magic well? Mom turns out the light, kisses me again, and whispers, See you in a few days. Mom? Yes? You're not leaving until the morning, right? Right. She blows me one more kiss and closes the door behind her. Did you hear that story? I whisper to Bob when she's gone. I wish our well were magic. I feel him turn his head, and all I can see in the dark are his big wet eyes. I wish I had a mother, he says. I don't know what to say. Bob is alone in the world. Totally, completely alone. Bob, I say finally, maybe you do have a mother. Maybe you have a whole big family. But he doesn't answer. Chapter 10, Bob. Are you ready? Livy asks, standing by the door. She has a pink towel slung over her shoulder and a fresh bar of soap in her hand. She has decided I need a bath. It's been 5 years, I point out, arms crossed. What's another few days? She's making a big show of pinching her nose close. What if I drowned? We don't know if I can swim. You won't drown in the tub, she You won't drown in the tub, she assures me. It's not even halfway full because of the drought. What if I slip down the drain? Maybe when a not zombie gets wet all over, he shrinks up into nothing. I'll put the stopper in. Fine, I grumble, allowing her to lead me out of the room. But I can't promise to use the soap. You'll use it all right, she says, pushing me ahead of her into the bathroom. She places the bar firmly into my hands and drapes the towel over the rim of the tub. I notice she has taken the liberty of filling the bathtub with a few inches of water. And bubbles. And is that one of Gran's plastic roses floating on top? I thought your first bath in 5 years should be special, she says. I roll my eyes but pull off the red sweatshirt and fold it carefully on the counter. I step cautiously over to the tub. I wouldn't want to slip on a puddle and knock myself out. You're going to wear your tutu in the bathtub? I look down. Half surprised to still be wearing it. I shrug. I've grown accustomed to it. I dip one toe in the bubbly water. It's warm. What did you expect? It's a bath. I had expected it to be cold, but I don't know why. I dip my toe again, then extend my foot out to Livy. Does my toe look smaller to you? Livy groans. Your toe does not look smaller. You are not shrinking. It's true. I seem to be the same size. I'll be right outside, reading. She waves the book with a half knight, half person on the cover. If Gran comes up, I'll duck back in. Will you be okay alone? I nod. Don't forget to wash under your arms and behind your ears. I roll my eyes. With soap, she says before shutting the door behind her. I double check that the stopper is in place, then put my whole foot in the tub, then the other. It feels inviting. I slowly lower myself the rest of the way in, feeling the water cover my legs, then my belly, then my neck and arms. I lean back and feel myself relax. Ah, that feels nice. It does. It really does feel nice. But it's more than nice. It feels like home. Livy must have known the bath wasn't just about getting clean. She wanted to take both our minds off of last night. She doesn't know it, but her mother crept into our room early this morning and kissed her goodbye. I stood right in front of her mom and waved. In the dark, in the room. But not that dark. She didn't see me at all. I closed my eyes to think. If Livy's mom doesn't see me at all, and a kid like Danny, who doesn't know me like Livy knows me, sees a chicken, then maybe age is another clue to my magic. Baths are very good at helping one think. I had lots of time to think in the closet, of course. I was alone, but I wasn't alone at the same time. I made a home for myself inside my head, and I decorated it with all the things I learned and thought about and made with my Legos. I got in touch with my inner Bobness. I know Livy feels awful about leaving me in there all those years, but after that admittedly rocky adjustment period, and once I taught myself to read, it was actually kind of awesome. My eyes pop open. I let her feel guilty when it wasn't even her fault. I never told her any of the good stuff. I quickly scrubbed the places she told me to, and a few she left out. The bathwater is brown with dirt. Guess I did need a bath after all. I climb out of the tub just as the doorbell rings. I stay quiet, clutching my towel and dripping water onto the rug. Livy was right. I should have taken off the tutu. Sarah, Gran Nichols says a few words later. How lovely to see you. Come in, come in. I hear Livy stand up from her post outside the bathroom door and join Gran downstairs. Now Gran says, why don't you and Sarah catch up in your room for a while? You two used to giggle for hours. Ugh, I need to talk to Livy right now. And I also need to move my knight to f3 on my next turn instead of sacrificing my bishop as I was going to do. Baths are also good for chess strategizing. I actually only came by for my hoodie, Sarah says quickly. I didn't mean to interrupt anything. It's just always cold at the restaurant. Okay, I may not know a ton about human nature, but it sounds like the sweatshirt is just an excuse to see Livy. Don't be silly, Gran Nichols says. We're happy to have you, aren't we, Livy? Sure, Livy says. Your sweatshirt is upstairs. I'll go get it. But Gran insists there's plenty of time before lunch and they should go up and play. Super fast, like the Flash. I grab the sweatshirt from the counter, run to the bedroom, throw the sweatshirt on the bed, run into my closet, and close the door. The girls come into the room. Livy is talking really loudly to warn me she's not alone, but she forgets I have super hearing. Or maybe I never told her. While they get settled, I struggle to put on the chicken suit, which has shrunk at least 2 sizes. I pull on the neck to try to stretch it out, but it doesn't help much. You still have Rufus? Sarah exclaims. I put my eye up to the crack in the door frame. She is taller than Livy, with yellow hair, and she is hugging Rufus. My Rufus. Well, not mine exactly, but more mine than this girl's. I recognize her even though she's got a lot bigger. After old Livy left, this girl used to come up to read the books on the bookshelf a few times. She even took one once. I saw her tuck it under her jacket. She stops by to see Gran now and again with her family, but for the past few years, she's only been a voice downstairs. And now she's here at a really bad time, and I wish she'd leave. You know Rufus? Livy asks her. Sarah nods. Gran Nichols comes in with a tray of cookies and sets it down on the dresser. Are you two getting reacquainted? The girls don't answer. I don't think they know what reacquainted means. I do, though, because the R's had a lot of good words. It means getting to know each other again. I've had a lot of personal experience with that lately. I also brought you this. Gran Nichols hands Livy something small and rectangular, but I can't tell what it is. Your tape recorder, Livy asks. Don't be so surprised. You girls used to record yourself singing into it. Livy reddens. I have such a bad voice. That's not what I remember, Gran says. Sarah takes the tape recorder and presses a button. A few seconds later, the unmistakable sound of two 5-year-old girls singing a pop song fills the air. Even though I'm annoyed at having to wait like this, I can't help but smile. They sound so happy and carefree. Livy sounds like the old Livy. The one who didn't care if her singing voice wasn't the best in the world. That's embarrassing, Lizzie says, reaching over and switching it off. Totally, Sarah says. I think it's lovely, Gran says, leaving the room. You two have fun. Livy grabs a cookie. Sorry about taking your sweatshirt home. Oh, that's okay, Sarah says. I hear the bed squeak as she sits down. I didn't really come here for the hoodie. I knew it. Chapter 11. Livy. You didn't? I asked Sarah. She shakes her head. I wanted to see you, and I kind of wanted to see if you still had Violet and Abigail. Who? Sarah points to the other side of the bed where there are two dolls sitting up on the bedside table. I haven't even really looked at them before. I think those are my mom's old dolls, I say, and I get this pang. My brain still hasn't forgotten about trying to sleep here without my mom in the house tonight. Sarah nods. You were Violet. I was Abigail. Really? Did we play with the dolls last time? That's hilarious. Why hilarious? Oh, not hilarious. I just mean, I haven't touched a doll in like 3 years. I like dolls, Sarah says. Sometimes. Really? But I'm what? You just seem kind of grown up. You sort of have a job even. Not sort of. I do have a job, Sarah says. Every Friday night and every Sunday afternoon at Mom's restaurant. It's fun when I'm in the mood, which is definitely not every Friday night and Sunday afternoon. So they make you? It's not like that. We all help out. Do what we can. Even Danny does stuff to help. What can he do? He's only 7, right? He's pretty good at setting tables before the restaurant opens. He knows where everything goes. Sarah glances at Mom's dolls again and says, Confession? I come over here sometimes. Why? Sarah shrugs. To talk to your gran, to look at your mom's books. She smiles. And to get away from Danny. I know you always wanted to be a big sister, but trust me, it can be annoying. I always wanted to be a big sister? And now you are one, which is cool. I know your baby sister can't do much yet, but soon she'll follow you everywhere. Everywhere? Even to the bathroom? Sarah nods and makes a face. Everywhere. So sometimes I used to come over here and pretend this was my room, my bed, my books, and your dolls. She looks at them again. Have you ever played Truth or Dare? I ask her. She shakes her head. I'll teach you. Truth or Dare is simple. You either do the dare or you have to answer one question, and you have to answer it honestly. I start off easy, daring Sarah to go down to the kitchen and bring something back without saying one word to Gran, even if she's standing right there. Sarah nods and marches off. As soon as she's gone, I run to the closet to check on Bob. When is she leaving? Bob asks. I have something to tell you. Soon, I say. He's wearing what's left of the chicken suit. It's tight. He huffs a little. How soon? Do you know her, I ask? She says she hung out in here sometimes. He nods. Sometimes she came and looked at the dolls. Once she almost opened the closet. I hope you're not thinking of playing chess with her because I have a really good move. That's our game. Oh, great, here she comes. He pulls the closet door closed 1 second before Sarah walks in, holding an egg. My turn, she says. I casually turn my back to the closet if there isn't a jealous, green, mysterious creature inside. Okay, I pick Dare. And you have to do whatever I dare you to do or answer one question with the absolute truth. Is that right? I tell her yes. That's exactly right. Are you sure you haven't played this game before? I ask suspiciously. You seem very good at it. Because this is exactly the kind of dare I would come up with if I really wanted someone to choose truth. I'm a fast learner, she says, holding up the egg. So you're going to drink it? I could get you a cup. Oh, she dared her to drink one raw egg. Sorry, I missed that. I shake my head. I'll take truth. Sarah smiles, throwing herself onto the middle of the bed. She leans over to grab Abigail and Violet, then gets up on her knees, holding one doll in each hand. Here's my question. Do you really not like playing with dolls anymore? Or do you just think you're too cool to play with dolls? She kind of sticks her hip out when she says cool, but she's still smiling. And suddenly, I like Sarah. I walk over and say, which one is Violet again? She waggles the one wearing the blue dress. I take it from her and push Violet's black yarn hair out of her cloth face. Her dress is nice, actually. It's got puff sleeves and a shiny purple sash. Okay, I say. Dolls are sort of fun. I knew it! Sarah hugs Abigail to her chest and says, let's forget truth or dare. Let's have a dance party with Abigail and Violet. She hops off the bed and presses play on the tape recorder, which is still lying on the floor, and our screechy 5-year-old voices start spilling out of it again. She grabs Abigail's hands and starts dancing her around at the foot of the bed, looking totally ridiculous. So I hold Violet's tiny hands and start doing the tango. It's this crazy old dance my dad showed me once. When the horrible singing finally stops, we fall down on the rug, breathing hard. It's kind of great. I wonder if Sarah might be the kind of friend I can talk to. At home, some of my friends are like that, but not all of them. I thought Maya was like that until she told Aubrey how my dad had to come pick me up because I was too scared to sleep over. There's a clicking sound from the tape recorder, which I guess we left running, and then I hear my voice alone saying, this is a story from when you're lonely, Bob. It's called, The Cow and the Pig. One day, a dog named Tucker was walking down the road. I slam my hand down on top of it, hitting all the buttons at once. My voice stops. That was so cute, Sarah says. A story about a dog called The Cow and the Pig? Ha, yeah, I say, funny. Who's Bob? She asks, sticking a cookie in her mouth. You asked about him before. There's no Bob around here. When I can't think of what to say, she says, maybe Bob was your invisible friend. I had an invisible friend? She flops back on the rug and says, sure, we both did. Mine was called Philippia. I hear a little noise from inside the closet behind me and quickly move my foot so it might seem like I just kicked the door by accident. You remember a lot about when I was here before, I tell Sarah. Well, we don't get a lot of visitors. Hey, speaking of your invisible friend, have you dug up your time capsule yet? My what? Your time capsule. That's what you called it. You said you were going to bury it before you went back home. This feels important. Do you happen to remember where I buried it? She smiles. Sorry, I can't remember things I never knew. You said it was for your invisible friend. Maybe you should ask him. And then she laughs. See you next time.